Good morning and welcome to Toronto Police Headquarters. I am Constable Jennifer Sidhu. Today I would like to introduce Chief Mark Saunders. He will be addressing the gun violence in Toronto. Chief?
Thank you for being here. And I just wanted to make sure that I was available to answer some of the questions with respect to the events that have occurred over this past week. So as you know, there have been multiple shootings this past week and two more that happened overnight. I'm going to give a brief update on some of the investigations, and after, I'll definitely answer some questions. So on Monday, August the 5th, in the early hours, police were called to sounds of gunshot in 18 Yorkville Avenue area. Upon further investigation, men and women were able to make one arrest for a person that was arrested for failing to comply. Further investigation has determined that we believe that person belongs to a street gang. 27, the Bridle Path. Again, on Sunday, August the 4th, in the early hours, what had occurred was a robbery with 3 suspects involved. Through the hard work of 33 Division and 33 Major Crime and others, a male has been arrested for that offense. The victims for that are not from Toronto, in fact, not from the province. We've made an arrest, and during that arrest, we were able to retrieve a firearm. There are 2 more people that I believe are outstanding for that, and that investigation is still ongoing. On August the 5th, at approximately 4:16, Toronto police were called to the area of Church and Adelaide with regards to the sound of shots, gunshots. Upon their arrival, there were 2 victims. I can tell you at that scene, there was a firearm, and we have evidence that the victims that were shot, there was an exchange of gunfire. Through a lot of hard work by officers from 51 Division, 51 CIB, Major Crime, we were able to arrest 3 people, and they're in the process of looking for 1 person outstanding. There will be a warrant that would be put out for that person shortly, and hopefully with the assistance of the media and the community, we'll be able to locate that person. We have also received and seized another firearm as a result, and the information with regards to that is that members are involved in street gangs. So we've recovered guns and made arrests, and we're optimistic about some of the other ongoing investigations. We'll definitely be making more arrests with respect to these recent shootings and others in the past. Our Gun and Gang Task Force and intelligence services continue to place a high priority on all of these investigations, and we're also actively working to be present in the areas that are currently high risk. I know that people are concerned, and I completely understand that. I do want to underline that this recent gun activity, these shootings that have happened over the past 10 days, by and large, have street gang connotations to them or are street gang related, and the vast majority of them, we cannot exclude street gang subculture activity to it. It does not mean at times that innocent people are not impacted. A lot of people do have concerns. The city definitely has concerns. In these rare instances in Toronto over the past couple of years, when that has happened, it's truly traumatic to those individuals and to their families. I've attended town halls recently and listened to some of the issues and concerns. We're definitely going to be working with our communities and with our stakeholders to make sure that we do everything we can with our role when it comes to gun violence and the street gang issues that are happening. And on that, I will definitely take some questions.
Chief, do you know how many people who are currently facing firearms charges right now out on bail, and is that a concern to you?
That is a concern. So right now, there are approximately 326 people that are charged with firearms offenses that are out on bail right now. So what we are hoping to do is establish a stronger relationship with our courts to let them know that the impact that these types of offenses are having within our communities. And you can see the growing concerns that are happening. And so we need that deterrent factor because a lot of people are in possession of firearms right now. The street gangs right now, I can tell you, just in recent, are definitely shooting. There are more shooting occurrences that are happening, but we can't do it alone. It has to be a collective approach from many angles, and the courts is definitely one of them that we would like to have the conversation with. But it's 326 right now that are on bail, that are on firearms-related offenses.
What's your action plan? Like, we're not hearing a firm action plan you know, the community has said that they're starting to tune you out, they're starting to tune the mayor out, because all we're hearing is these are targeted shootings. Is that supposed to calm their nerves? I don't know. We need some more details. We know you can't give us exact details on officer location and operation, but the community needs to hear something of an action plan. So what is it?
Well,
Look at the cameras, Chief.
I want to be very clear that the Toronto Police Service has, in fact, had an action plan. We have seized 536 guns to date. We're continuing to make arrests. We've laid thousands of charges. We've arrested hundreds of people. The street gang issue is alive and well. I've said to you in the past, if the expectations are that we're going to arrest ourselves out of this, we simply are not. It does not work that way. There are social issues that are related with this. The vast majority of gun violence that has occurred in the city, the patterns are identical. It is that U-shaped area of the city where it's the neighborhood improvement areas. There are a lot of things that need to be put in play. People are not born to be street gang members. They become. And so it takes a multi-pronged approach to get this right. But the men and women have been doing a fantastic job with what they have been doing. We have been arresting. We've been seizing hundreds of guns. And there is going to be a change and a shift in what we need to do to have a stronger focus on street gangs. And I'm working with my team right now, and we're developing a plan. And that plan, it will take place sooner rather than later.
In 43 Division that I interviewed yesterday, Adil Nagori, he was sitting in his car in his driveway with his wife, watching a movie at 12 o'clock the other night. You said most people who are affected by gun violence are not law-abiding citizens. Mr. Nagori was doing nothing but sitting in his driveway watching a movie when he was shot. What do you say to him? Because he's not feeling safe, and a lot of people in that area of the city in Orton Park are terrified.
No, and I agree with you, Catherine, and we have had this year after year where in the crossfire, innocent people are getting shot. But I can still tell you that the vast majority of crimes are happening in a specific area at specific times between 10 p.m. until 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. And we put our deployment in those areas with that hyper focus. But a bullet will not necessarily. They're unbiased. They will go anywhere. And my problem is I have members, predominantly members from street gangs, that are pulling guns out that are shooting, whether they're doing shoot-ups in the air or shooting at people or vehicles. And the stray bullets will, in fact, hit innocent people. And I'm very aware of that. So I'm not here to say that I don't think that innocent people are not going to be affected by this. And even if you're not shot, just the sound of gunshots becomes very bothersome.
What do you say to people who live on Confederation Drive or on Scarborough Golf Club Road or on Orton Park? Should they just stay indoors between 10 and 1 a.m. because that's when these shootings are happening? And this man is terrified to be on his driveway where he sat every night watching a movie because that's what he chose to do. He liked to sit in his car.
And so getting back to what I said earlier, when we look at all of the gun activity that has occurred year after year after year, we have that U-shaped area where it has the highest level of crimes, the highest level of violent crimes, the low poverty, not making it through education, not having opportunities for jobs. That area, those people in those communities, when I go to town halls, live like this every single day. And they're saying, you know, I put my son or daughter in a bathtub with a mattress so I can sleep at night. So when we speak to the primary issues that all are associated with street gangs and the concerns that it has on absolutely everybody, the highest frequency is in those areas. So these people are living like that day to day. We are working, we are, and again, I speak to, in order to get this right, we are not going to arrest our way out of this. We are making apprehensions. We are making arrests almost on a daily basis within this. But there has to be a multifaceted approach to this. And so when you listen to some people that are saying, you know, make arrests and put them in jail, and we know that 90% of these people are coming back out, we're still feeding this same machine that definitely is disconnected, and there has to be that alignment from all aspects. So make no mistake, we are out there, we are making apprehensions. We do put our officers in areas when we see intelligence-led points that tell us that there might be pending threats that are happening in those areas. So we have to be smart with what we do as law enforcement. It's not just about putting people all over the place and sitting at intersections. It's not going to work.
If you live in Lawrence Heights, if you live in Orton Park, right now, I know you're deploying more officers, but should people stay indoors at night? because this is not a safe area.
Well, what my ask is, and it always has been, especially when I go to communities, my ask is always to work with us. The communities know better than us as to what is going on. When they see things that are out of pattern or things that aren't good, to contact us. Most people will only call whenever there's a crime that's committed. And the piece that we try to tell people is if you see certain things, certain activities that are happening on a regular basis, you call us, because then we have the ability of putting resources in those places either ahead to prevent it from happening or using other resources to make those apprehensions. So I guess my big thing is that we all have to invest in this in order to make this work. The police have to work with the community. We're working on those aspects at all time in order to keep those communities safer. And when we make our arrests, by and large, it is through the help with the community. The community calls, they give us evidence, they give us tips and clues, and we are arresting people as a result.
I appreciate
You have to name the gangs. If you need help from the community, is by not naming the actual street gangs that you're dealing with, giving them cover. I feel that, the talking point, that it gives them street cred if we name them,
Yes.
if we out them. I don't feel like that's floating anymore. So why not just name them, let the community know who they're dealing with, what they're dealing with, and maybe they can be of further assistance.
The communities know. Each community knows. And all of the communities know what the street gang subculture is within their neighborhoods. That's first. Secondly, one of the reasons I don't name names, I'm not going to give credibility to them. I simply am not. They're an incredibly small percentage within all of these communities that are causing the most violence across the city. And so that collective approach is the one that is absolutely necessary. I've spoken with the mayor, I've spoken with all levels of government, and they understand that. And we're all working collectively to figure out what the right plan is in order to work things out. I can tell you that our lane, our role, our responsibility, our primary, is that enforcement piece. And by and large, we are enforcing on a daily basis. We are arresting people, they have guns, and so that collective piece is what we're looking for, working with the governments and other entities to help those other prongs that are taking place right now.
Where do you stand on the call for a handgun ban? Would that make any difference, any dent in these shootings in the city?
Well, I can tell you that in the years before, our domestic our straw purchasing, it was at 50-50. So 50% of our crime guns were, in fact, people that were able to make lawful purchases, had the ability to do so, and then farming them out into the criminal entity. That has shifted within the last couple of years. It switched to 70 and 30, and we're now at 80 and 20. So 80% of the firearms coming in are coming in through the borders, and the other 20% are domestic related. There's a lot of work and a lot of partnerships that we work with the CBSA and other entities to do what we need to do to reduce those numbers, and we're working collectively. So anything that helps is a benefit, but there is no one solution to this. And I think that's the message I'm trying to get across. As much as people are focused on making that apprehension and it's a good day, we're far beyond that. We need to make sure that we have mechanisms in place for these young men to not want to take up arms as a means of moving on to the next day. And then at the back end as well, when we talk about the incarcerations, and 90% are coming out, and we have so many cases where people are on bail on firearms charges, as well as when those that do shoot and they do get incarcerated, they're back out again. So what are the programs that are involved to help change that circle of events? So even the last shooting where we had the double shooting just a couple of days ago, when I went to that scene, my two victims are people, one just got released on bail in July for firearms charges, and the other person just got released from jail for firearms charges. And these are all street gang related things, and these are the realities of what are going on right now, and we need to figure out how to get to resolve them.
Was that gang related as well? Any update on that investigation? Any arrests made?
Pardon?
The shooting that happened at the Raptors parade and rally.
Well, arrests were made immediately at the Raptors event, and I believe it was 3 or 4 people, 3 firearms that were seized at that particular moment.
Was that gang related?
Most likely, but I don't have the answer to that. Most likely. So, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
I think that what you're really telling us here, I think there's obviously a lot of good news, but the 326 people on bail on firearms charges is a big number.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that I think we can take to perhaps the provincial government and ask them why that is. Have you ever seen that high before? in your experience?
You know, I haven't looked at the numbers, but this has been a continuous discussion that has been had, and I'll tell you what the concerns are, Joe. You always have a follow-up. So the first point is the frontline men and women that are doing a fantastic job. They're making the apprehensions. The community feels good because they've done their part. They've given us information to allow us to make those arrests. And then 3 weeks later, that same person that the community invested in, that we invested in, are now out on the streets again. So the community starts to get deflated and going, well, why are we helping if this is what the outcome is going to be? And then my men and women are going, we're busy enough in a day. You know, you've asked us to do what we're supposed to do. We do our job, and then we come in for the next shift, and Buddy's back out again. So you can see how on both ends it becomes frustrating from all aspects and all people.
And the other thing, too, is that they feel emboldened to carry firearms, and coming out on bail for firearms charges, you would think that you would stay away from firearms, but they're not afraid. And I know that the carding issue is dead, but you have to admit that people are really wondering about how handcuffed you really are, because it seems like it's not just gang activity. It seems like every dispute, a gun comes out. So that means that the people are packing and are not afraid to be caught with a gun.
Yeah, and that's true from almost all the aspects. So when we look at the amount of people that we're arresting with firearms charges, and every time we're shaking 2 or 3 people down, a gun is popping out, it's clear to say that there are more firearms that are out there. And you're right, they are utilized for disputes. But most of the street gang members that have guns, for the most part, it is to protect themselves. However, if an opportunity arises, then they will use. That's number one. But then when it comes to the retaliation point, where gang member A goes over to gang B and firearms up, then now team B wants to retaliate. So now they have the guns, but it's not to protect themselves now, it's to answer to the initial retaliation piece. So it's frustrating because it all cores into the street gang subculture, and that becomes a problem. And so when people are saying, you know, street gang, so put people in jail, there is a far bigger picture to this. It's not just a matter of incarceration. We have to get it right. And those are the directions and those are the things we're moving towards. And as I stated earlier, all levels of government have been understanding. They all do not like what they see, and they all want to take an active part in figuring out what the proper solutions are overall.
Chief, have you and the mayor talked about sitting down with the Chief Justice to discuss the problem with the revolving door of justice? You have to go to the source. The Chief Justice would certainly like to hear these concerns. Have you even talked to the mayor about doing that?
Well, we've added different lenses, Catherine, to the court system with the victim impact statements, with the community impact statements. We're dealing, but I'd love to answer the question if that's okay. Thank you. Okay. So laws are federal. They're right across the country. So it is a one-size-has-to-fit-all, but the problem is in the city of Toronto, Toronto is incredibly unique. It's hard for me to take the city of Toronto and compare it to any other city in Canada. I can do some comparatives to the States. We're the 4th largest city in the country. Our numbers, by and large, are so much lower than all of the other major cities. But then when you put us into Canada, the amount of street gang activity that we have to anyone else by far is different. And so if we had an opportunity of making some sort of amendment or some sort of understanding in the courts, because you can be sitting in court in Toronto, but your bar, your benchmark is on what's going on in Canada. So it's hard for a judge to say, well, because this is Toronto, I have to do this, because that judge is measured across what all of Canada is doing. So there is no easy solution, but having the conversations continuously, having a stronger understanding of the leverage that the communities should have when it comes to how much fear is created in the neighborhoods. When I've got moms in specific neighborhoods that are saying, I don't put my kids out during the day because I'm afraid. But those are in the exact same areas that when I got on the job, where these discussions were had. Now, granted, the gun violence is happening in pockets outside and everywhere across the city, but the vast majority are street gang related, and the vast majority are in that U section of the city, and that is a great concern from all aspects.
So what do you say to people who live in the U-shaped area who get shots in his car? Because, you know, and what about sitting down with the Chief Justice? Why not ask the mayor? Because he didn't say if you've done that. I know it's a federal issue. I go to court, I see these people getting released. What about saying to John Tory, let's have a sit down with the Chief Justice and tell her what's going on here? because people can't even leave their homes, especially if they live in that U-shaped community where gun violence has been happening year after year.
Yeah, we've been having those discussions. I know that the mayor has gone on national platforms and had these very discussions. I have had these discussions as well, and I have a feeling that the more conversations, the more voices that are collective that have the same narrative, I feel that there is an opportunity for some sort of movement that will be of great assistance to the communities that are in the city of Toronto.
Regarding the investigation into what happened with Michael Terrio 2 years ago, that the Crown has asked you to delay any review of your officer's conduct until the end of the trial against Michael and Christian Terrio. You said the Crown asked you to delay that. When did the Crown make that request to you, and how did the Crown make that request?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details, but the request was, and that is the normal protocol. A criminal, if I can be allowed to answer the question, then I would, thank you, Desmond. That was done at some point in time. I don't have the exact date, but as I stated before, that is the normal protocol. So if you look at any investigation that has criminal aspects to it, where people are charged criminally, the rule of law is generally that the criminal case supersedes all the others. The Section 11 investigation is an administrative process that is done by chiefs. The administrative process does not supersede the court of law in all aspects with almost every single investigation. Does anyone have another question? Thank you.
Question, please.
What's the voice of the police need right now? Last year, the police said that they wanted to increase cameras and neighborhood officers in the city. What's been implemented so far, and what supports haven't been implemented yet that you think could be implemented?
Well, the strength in our success is going to rely on the partnerships that we have with our community first and foremost. They have absolutely all of the information, but a lot of people are scared to testify because it's a different day, it's a new day, where you're not testifying against an individual, you're testifying against a team. So when a community member does their part, where they say, I saw this person shoot that person, they know very well that that person belongs to a gang of 8 or 9. Those 8 or 9 people are not going to be arrested because they're not involved in that. So they're scared. So that community participation piece and what we need to do to help keep community members that are helping us safe is something that needs to be looked at. Our numbers have been good right now when we talk about our homicide rates and the fact that last year to date, it was 59 homicides. Right now we're at 35. I'm not diminishing homicides. Any homicide is a bad day, but the numbers are down with that. We have to continue the conversation. And on the other end, the bail is a concern. It is a concern for us. So those are two predominant factors. The city has been working with us. We've had more technology that has had some vital opportunities for us to enhance a lot of our investigations. Well, I won't give into. I want to get into the specifics of investigations because I will just make criminals smarter, which I don't want to do. But I can tell you, our methodology has changed. We're getting better convictions now because sometimes witnesses are nervous to testify and can get intimidated when you go to court to testify, and there are 12 gang members sitting in there listening to what you're saying about their friend that's accused. Technology has helped change that substantially. When that video is being played, where other things are being put out there, then people aren't intimidated by that. So working in concert with our partners, TCHC, and a host of others at the front end as well as at the back end to see what tools can be put in play to help reduce people from shooting other people. And that's what we're having right now, and it is predominantly street gang related. Thank you very much, everybody.
This concludes today's conference. Thank you.